What's up YouTube, Capital G here, talking Banlist in this video, making some predictions and discussing what I would like to happen. Gonna get some input from you guys, of course, leave that in the comment section below. And I mean, we could be just 2.5 weeks away from getting the ban list. We also could be like 6.5 weeks away from getting the ban list. We know that we're going to get it before Shining Victories, even before the sneak peek, but you know, I don't want to ramble on too much because I shot this video and ended up being like 17 minutes and I was like, I want to get that shorter. So let's just jump into it. So for starters, I think that there is 0% chance that anything from the adjusted list gets moved up. I don't think that Pepe are getting any of their cards back. If you look at Performa Pals or just the Pendulum deck, whether you want to call it Dark Pepe, Dark Performa Pals, whatever, Draco Pals, it's still an extremely strong deck. Maybe even the best deck in the game. I had it as third on my Yu-Gi-Oh hierarchy. Probably should have put it as like second above Monarchs, but behind Cosmos. That's just my personal opinion. But you can see that it's still an extremely strong deck. So I don't think they're getting any of their cards back. I think that's pretty much a guarantee. So for ban cards, I think that there are only 2 cards in the game that are remotely on the hot seat. And I think that they both should be banned. I got Elder Entity Norden and I've got Wavering Eyes. A lot of people consider Wavering Eyes now to be quote unquote uncounterable. I mean, I guess you could run counter traps that stop spells like Ultimate Providence or Magic Drain or whatever, but nobody plays those for the most part in the main deck, even though they're still really good cards. The fact that Wavering Eyes can't technically be countered by Damage Juggler, one of like the meta counters that a lot of people used to run, is kind of big. And I feel like this card is just, now it's completely just nuts in the mirror. It was already nuts in the mirror match, but now that it's like unstoppable, it's just, my god. I mean, that amazing. One of the reasons why I don't want to play pendulums is just, you know, I feel like if you're playing a pendulum deck like Dino Mist or, well, like Magispectors, more importantly, where you don't even have pendulum effects and you get hit by this, you just can't recover and you just lose the fucking duel. So I feel like this card, and I also don't like the interaction that it has with Guiding Aradne. People say that I'm dumb because I want Aradne limited, but I'm like, it's kind of the same thing as like Plush Fire, just not as good. But I don't like the whole, it can activate multiple times in a turn. Like, I just don't like that card design. I don't think they're going to make anything. I don't think they're going to make any more cards like that. So I think Wavering Eyes is going to get banned. Elder Entity Norden, I think, is going to follow the OCG. I think that everybody is kind of sick. Like, we all have Norden fatigue at this point. I think that everybody's kind of sick of people being able to activate one card and going to any rank 4 that they want. You know, a lot of times this card is something that, like, it can make your turn 1 fields better, where it's like, oh, I had Dark Law, but now I have Dark Law Rafflesia. Have fun with that. It can get you back in the game. It is a 1-card XC. It kind of solves any problem, whether it be like, you know, going to a Castel or going to a Diamond Direwolf for like face down removal. In a deck like Mermill, you go into like Dweller, and with Nethabis, it's kind of like a 2-card OTK. I feel like this card is just, it's anything you want it to be with the between Norden and Instant Fusion. The only way that I see Norden not getting banned is if they limit Instant Fusion, because I don't think a limit to Norden does anything. And I feel like we kind of all have Norden fatigue. We like, a rank 4 should be something you at least have to kind of work for, and you don't have to work for it in this game. And as long as you run a level 4, I have no idea why you're not running Norden. Like, Norden / Instant Fusion goes into everything that runs level 4 monsters, with maybe the exception of Monarchs, but I don't, like, they don't even run level 4s if I'm not mistaken. But it just works with fucking everything. Well, I guess Cosmo, it's like the only deck that doesn't run it. I'd even run this in Yangzings, to be honest. Like, I don't understand why they don't run it either. All right, next up to my limited, I've got 3 cards that I think can be limited / will be limited. 2 of them I feel extremely strong about them. Actually, no, 5 cards. 2 of them I feel strong about, 1 kind of, and then 2 are just kind of up in the air. So we got Draco Face Off, Teleports, Mask Chameleon, Wisdom Eye, and Pendulum Call. These 2 I think are going to happen. If I had to bet money, I would bet everything. Like, I am so certain that Teleport is getting limited. And if you look historically at what Konami has done with TCG exclusive decks, like look at Burning Abyss as an example, the first time that they hit these decks, they do not go after the decks themselves directly. They don't go after the support of the decks, the archetype itself. They don't go after Dart Destroyer. They don't go after Dante or Seer. They go after these indirect cards that support them, but also support other decks. When you look at Burning Abyss's first hit, it was Torghast from the Underworld. They knew that people would still play BA. They knew that they could still push BA and keep selling it, whatever. They still have new Cosmo cards coming out in Shiny Victories that they can sell. And with 1 teleport, people are still going to play Cosmos. And I feel that with teleport now going into monarchs, then they can look at monarchs and be like, see, we hit you guys too. By the way, just side note, I think there's zero chance that monarchs get hit. I'm not saying this out of bias or anything. I feel the same way about monarchs that I feel about like Sertella Knights. I just don't think they're getting hit, and I think it's still too new with the structure deck. I still think they want to sell it. You know, Pantheism maybe down the road, but like nothing in the OCG got hit, so I don't think they're getting hit. Draco Face Off, in my opinion, is kind of like a spell version of Luster Pendulum. It's a play enabler, and it's an accelerant. Like, it's always going to be a guaranteed 1-for-1 because you can just special summon a monster, but it's like it dodges max C too, because it's like, oh, if you chain max C, you can just put it in the pendulum scale and I guess just end. You know, I mean, hopefully you have something on board so that you don't just die, but it feels like it's kind of like a spell version of Luster Pendulum where when you resolve it, you get something in the extra deck. So it's like you get something to pendulum summon, and if you get your Luster Pendulum, you can just, he's what, a 5, I think. You can just play a 3, you can pop the 3, search another copy of the 3, and then you have 2 monsters to pendulum summon. So it just sets up entire plays, man. And then Mask Chameleon, you guys got to bear with me on this one. I think that Mask Chameleon might get hit for the same reason that Debris Dragon got hit in the 5Ds days. Debris Dragon was essentially a 1-card power play. It made a lot of the powerful legendary synchro monsters from 5Ds like Black Rose and Stardust and whatnot. Mainly like Black Rose. The fact that it worked with pretty much the entire plant engine, Lone Fire, Glow Up Bulb, Spore, Dandelion especially. I feel like Mask Chameleon is starting to feel exactly like Debris Dragon did then. It wasn't that big of a deal when it only worked with Gem Knight Garnet as kind of like a zero defense monster that was seeing meta play. But then Konami came out with these fuckers, the Dracos and the Dracovalords and Draco Slayers and whatnot, and all of their defenses is 0. And yes, I know that they're pendulums and they don't go to the graveyard, but people do detach those motherfuckers. People do detach them and they end up in the graveyard sometimes. So a lot of times you will have one of those in the grave, and this dude just turns those into an Omega or into a Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. It's not Red Dragon Archery, just Scarlet Red Dragon, whatever. It turns it into an incredibly powerful 8. So I feel like he might get hit for the same reason Debris Dragon did. And for some reason, Debris Dragon is still limited today. So I feel like Mask Chameleon is kind of like the new Debris Dragon. All right, for Wisdom Eye and Pendulum Call, a lot of people are going to look at Wisdom Eye. I don't think Wisdom Eye is getting hit. I think if anything gets hit from Magicians, which, to be honest, when Breaker Shadows came out, they felt like they got completely power creeped, which is crazy. Felt like it felt like this archetype got power creeped in like fucking 2 weeks. But I feel like Pendulum Call is going to get hit if anything in this deck gets hit, because Pendulum Call allows you to convert any 2 cards into a full scale. And generally, if you can discard a Magician, then if you Pendulum Oath Dragon, you can just get the cost back anyway. So I feel like if anything gets hit in this deck, it's not going to be this guy. It's going to be this card, because it converts anything into a Pendulum scale. At least with this, you have to have another scale or something like that. For the what's it called? The Oblivious going to 2 that no one really cares about. I feel like Sacrifice is going to go to 2 and then eventually to 3. I feel like Konami as a company, at least in the TCG, I don't think that they like what a card like Towers stands for. I don't think they like the unkillable boss monster that fucking just makes your opponent keep setting until they basically lose. I think that they also don't like 1-card scales. Maybe in the OCG they don't care about it. I think that Monkey Board is going to get hit there too. But I feel like if you look at all the 1-card scales that are seeing meta play, they're pretty much limiting them all, like Monkey Board and Scout. So I feel like those 2 cards are not possibilities to go any higher. So I feel like Sacrifice is kind of like the default choice to go to 2 and then eventually 3. Next up, we have some cards that I want to move up. I don't know how likely it is, mainly because the Order of Chaos archetypes like Insectors and Windups, I feel like, I discussed those before. I feel like Insectors and Windups, I got Zemighty down here at the bottom. I feel like they've been just forgotten about. This card is not $15, by the way. I don't know why this error. It's like $3. I feel like they're just forgotten about. I don't think that, like, I would really love for these to go to 2 and for this to go to 1, because as soon as Zemighty goes to 1, it'll go to 3 2 lists later, because they'll realize like it's not seeing meta play, it's not really doing anything. The same thing is in the OCG, where they've got like a bunch of Zemighties and they got pretty much Windups at full strength. They'll eventually realize it, like they did with Tsukiyomi and Magician of Faith, and eventually they'll fucking realize it with Tribe Virus, that these cards do not make an impact on the meta. So I feel like when this card goes to 1, it'll eventually go to 3. Same thing with these. I just don't know when that'll be. I hope these go to 2, because I play the deck and it's so fucking inconsistent with these at 1. Stratos, I think Konami knows exactly what will happen. I think Konami knows that players are just waiting for Stratos to get unbanned to play heroes. And I feel like he's kind of like a beacon of hope, and they don't want people playing heroes. So I feel like unless they're going to make more hero support, don't expect Stratos to come off the list. With Sharit and Construct, I think that they could easily get away with these. I was outspoken when Sharit got hit. I was like, that's fucking stupid. Like, I think a lot of the frustration that was directed towards Necros and the outrage, I think a lot of it had to do with Jhin. Like, even the people who played the deck against each other, like, they just hated Jhin. I felt like banning Jhin took a lot of, like, it took a lot of pressure off the deck, because at least you can play against Necros. But with the hits of Unicore and the hits of Brio, I feel like there's no need for a hit to Sharit. And to me, Necros won't become like meta unless they get like Unicore and Brio back to 2 plus Sharit. Like, that's still a long way to go. And they've got Sharit in the OCG. They've got Jhin in the OCG too. Basically, it's just like, it's fucking like Colossalist control in the OCG. So I feel like this one is possible, and I feel like if they do the same thing with Construct, that no one's really gonna care. Because to be honest, if you look at the last bans that they did, a lot of them just weren't good. Like, maybe you were on board with Towers and Exciton Knight, but like the Sharit and Construct one were just fucking stupid. And then lastly, I've got Exciton Knight. This one, in my opinion, should happen. I don't think it's going to happen because I think Konami is stubborn. I think whenever they ban a card and then immediately unban it, like they've done with Magician of Faith in the past and Breaker, the Magical Warrior in the past, I think that they have to admit essentially that they fucked up and they were wrong. The same is vice versa. Whenever they unban Snatch Steal and then like, oh shit, we got to ban that shit 10 seconds later, you know, they admit that they were basically idiots. And I feel like they would immediately have to admit that with Exciton Knight. See, with Sharit and Construct, no one would really care, so it's not like a constant reminder. But with Exciton Knight, you guys know this motherfucker will immediately see play. I would play this card in anything that can make a rank 4, and I'm pretty sure everybody would. So with Exciton Knight, it's like, yeah, we know that pendulums are kind of out of control, and if you're going to overextend turn 1 with no defense, you should kind of get punished for it, even though I think Exciton is still a little unhealthy. It's like a necessary evil in my opinion. I think that they know that this will see meta play, and it would kind of be like them admitting that they don't know what the fuck they're doing with the ban list. So I feel like Exciton should come back. I just don't think it will come back. So hopefully this video is under 17 minutes because I have no idea how long it is. You guys let me know, what do you guys think will happen? What do you guys want to happen? Leave that in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching as always.